Start the presentation.
Thank you, Carly, and welcome to Valve Accessories in our conference room. As Carly mentioned, joining me here at Chelsea is Bob Goodwin, and then Randy will be joining us a little bit later. He's with his comments via Zoom. As Carly mentioned, we're kind of shifting gears a little bit from a hard product presentation to a title we call Positioner Sales for the Valve Professional. And so this is a short introduction or refresher on how to combine the sales process of your engineered control valve packages and back positioners. In other words, top-down selling. Many of us have not been able to visit customers and our sales skills are a bit rusty. At least that's what Bob said about his.
My sales skills have been rusty, that's for sure.
This is an opportunity to give ourselves a sales tune-up or learn something new about the sales process. Many of the sales habits that valve salespeople use are not the most effective methods when selling positioners. The skills and techniques used in selling valves are different from selling positioners. Valves are frequently sold on specification, relationship, and price. Simply put, if your valve meets the spec and is a reasonable price with no technical objections, then delivery and relationship drive the sales process. Positioners are frequently sold this way as a simple accessory, just attached to the valve. However, a more active hands-on approach coupled with positioner knowledge, a little hands-on practice can help prepare you to perform top-down selling, enhancing your selling skills, opening the door for very profitable sales. One key is to understand in your positioner education. The positioner is a unique instrument. We certainly preach that when we have our classes here, but we want to take the opportunity to have you think of the positioner as an instrument. It's a critical device that not only measures something such as valve actuator stem position, but then when needed will make a change to a valve package based on a process need. So it is an instrument that not only measures, but it performs versus flow meters and pressure transmitters and all that just measure. The use of demos, either static or even live, or even better live, functioning will increase your success rate for positioners, but also allow you to present your own valve packages. An active use of demo units is one of the most effective tools you have to sell positioners. An added benefit is that every single one of those positions are directly connected to a control valve, possibly the ones you sell. Again, this is opening the door to talk about your control valve package and building that trusted relationship. Positioner sales can increase your control valve sales. And out of my 30 plus years experience, I witnessed it many times. When you're in your plant, not only look for your valve competitors, but notice positioner competitors. They may be on the competitor's valve or on a damper, on a skid, other applications where you can see the positioner. See each competitor's positioner or valve as an opportunity. As y'all know, plants have hundreds, if not thousands, of these opportunities. Think about who you're selling to and what's the key influences. Purchasing. With very few exceptions, they're driven by price and possibly delivery. Technical presentations to purchasing staff is uncommon. Engineering is often interested in technical presentation with plant plant process engineers more interested in project engineers. The plant process engineers are more invested in the lifetime install cost and maintainability than your maintenance staff, which is, in my opinion, very critical. If you have a staff that supports you, supports your products, they're going to help make sure your product works. If they don't like you or don't like your product, I know from experience that they'll make it not work. They are the most hands-on group you will encounter. Conveniently demonstrating your positioner instrument knowledge on back positioners, and they have about positioners will help you with your valve actuator sale. While biased, I'm not I know the positioner is the brains of the component. A positioner instrument salesman that demonstrates a technical knowledge of engineered products sets you apart from commodity sales. This improves your relationship and increases your value. Demonstrating in-depth positioner knowledge will set you apart from the commodity sale and improve your confidence and thus the relationship with your customer, making you a trusted partner. All right, I'm going to let Bob take over and go through the mechanical process with calibration, modularity, and various aspects of it. So,
Thank you, Wayne.
all right.
So the ability to demonstrate the ease of calibration, repairability, modularity, accuracy, low cost, reduced downtime, et cetera, there's a long list of these things, is critical to the sales process. It's not difficult. And many of the most successful VAC distributors that we have developed the skills to do just this. They don't just take a positioner or a piece of literature or a valve in a piece of literature. They bring in assemblies and demonstrate the complete brand that you as a distributor are selling. Your valve, your actuator, the positioner, and how it works. So we're going to take the positioner portion of this one by one. We're going to talk about calibration, modularity, accuracy, troubleshooting, linearity, and so on. And I'm going to do that with this particular valve that I have, assembly I have right here. So this is just a V200 positioner on a rack and pinion actuator and a bronze 3-piece ball valve. First things you're going to talk about is, how are you automating this? In this case, we have this positioner, even though it's a spring return actuator, double piped, so air assisted. Why is that a useful thing? Because by doing this, we're going to actually save the actuator from inhaling the air from the process environment. In this case, we're not changing how the package actually fails on loss of air or loss of signal, but we're making it so the actuator, the spring side of the actuator, only ever sees instrument air. Most plants will find this acceptable. Every once in a while you run across one that thinks it's unacceptable, but if you do this as a standard and you can explain why you do it, you've elevated yourself above what your competitors are doing. Carrying an assembly like this is not all that difficult. And then we've got the valve. In this case, it's a live loaded stem packing. And why is live loading, good for a modulating valve? It's always moving. So these are things that you can talk about the whole package when you're first introducing yourself and talking about the positioner in this case, but you have the opportunity to talk about these other items. And as customers ask you questions, you may wind up selling an actuator while you're demonstrating a positioner. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about calibration of this unit. Okay, I've got this set up right here as an electro-pneumatic positioner. We've got an I2P in it, but if you wanted to convert this to a pneumatic, it's very simple with just a screwdriver. I can take these two screws out, pull the I2P out, and put this plate in its place. And now I've gone from a positioner that takes a 4-to-20 signal with an I2P in it, current to pneumatic converter, to a pneumatic positioner that accepts a 3-to-15 PSI pneumatic signal. So being able to demonstrate this to the end user allows them to select where they may use pneumatic positioners in some places and electro-pneumatic positioners in others. They can do it with one box, and you're explaining to them how they can do that with a minimum number of parts in their store. The first step in calibrating the positioner is I'm going to loosen a locking screw here, my cam nut, set my cam so there's a small gap. There's a video on YouTube channel showing all of these steps. Okay, and once I've got that gap set, I'm going to air this positioner up and confirm that mechanically it's correct. So I can do that by just reaching in, and there's a balance arm in here. And again, there's YouTube videos that show this in detail, but I can pull out and just confirm that the actuator's turning in the correct direction. If it did not turn, chances are I just need to flip these two pieces of tubing. You're teaching the customer how to troubleshoot just by showing them these things as you go. So I've confirmed that mechanically it's correct. I'm going to take my loop calibrator, which is a low-cost unit that we offer for set. Randy will talk a little bit more about that later. But it's unique in that it will both drive the positioner and read feedback. Turn it on here. Put signal on the positioner. And I've got a 4 milliamp signal on a positioner, and I'm going to do a real quick calibration here. Okay, again, there's YouTube videos that show this in detail, but I'm showing you this to show you how quickly this can be done. So I'm going to look at my C+ gauge here, and I'm going to turn this 0 screw just until the needle comes off the pin, and back it down until the needle just lightly rests on the 0 PSI mark. By bouncing that arm, I can watch how fast that works, and that's within the 3 to 5 second time frame that we're looking at on our calibration instructions. Now I'm going to do span. I put 20 milliamps on the positioner, and same thing. I'm going to bring the needle up off the pin, and then back it down until it just touches. So that's my span calibration. If I go back to 4 milliamps and this gauge reaches 0 PSI, I've calibrated this positioner. In this case, I did it a little too sensitive, and I need to make a small adjustment. There we go. So that's how quickly you can calibrate the positioner. Compared to many other products, you know, this calibration process is many times faster because we directly set 0 and span at 4 and 20 milliamps. So that's basic calibration. I talked a little bit about replacing the I2P with a pneumatic plate to convert it to a P2P. These are very modular products. Everything we sell, regardless of whether it's an analog positioner or a digital positioner, is modular in some way to convert it for different things, adding feedback. In this case, we have an explosion-proof I2P here that could be mounted on this positioner in place of the standard NEMA 4X I2P. We have intrinsically safe options, all kinds of things that we can discuss in detail if you have questions about that. Multiple cam options for different strokes, spindles for different mounting configurations. All of these are like little Lego bits you can put together to give you a positioner that's right for your application. Another modular thing we can add is feedback. So I've got a translator card, a drive gear, and a potentiometer. One thing you'll probably notice, if you're paying attention, is that I haven't picked up a lot of tools here. I'm doing this with just a screwdriver. I've calibrated the positioner with a screwdriver. Now I'm installing feedback. That's the potentiometer being installed. Take out my indicator post, my drive gear, and now my translator card, my electronics. One screw for that. And then plug the potentiometer in. And now I've got my feedback installed. Using this loop calibrator, I can actually both drive the positioner and read my feedback simultaneously on the same screen. So I'm going to do a quick calibration here. Course 0. And I'm just looking at my loop calibrator to get it close to 4 milliamps. That's close.
Oh, sorry.
And then trim it down to right at 4 milliamps. And now I'm going to go up to 20. And do a count and just bring my span with the trim potentiometer into 20 milliamps. So there's my calibration. So that's calibrating feedback. I added feedback and calibrated it in just a couple of minutes. Okay. We can also do things like add switches. So this case here, I've got a set of switches. I can just drop this in place. It's 3 small screws. Same screwdriver. And the ability to do a demo like this is not overly difficult. As I mentioned, we have YouTube videos that show me doing this on our YouTube channel. They're also available on our website. If you're going to do this, take a couple of minutes, watch a short video, refresh your memory on how to do it. And just while I was telling you that, I've installed the switches. Okay, cams can be set just using the same screwdriver. They're just friction set cams. And now we're going to do something that I don't see anybody else doing in the control valve presentation world. Nobody is actually showing the sensitivity of their product live in front of a customer. So using the loop calibrator, I'm going to go back to 12 milliamps, and I'm going to show the sensitivity of this positioner. So we're going to let this settle for a second. And then, Carly, can you show this in detail right here? If you've got that zoomed in right about there. Okay, so it's at 12 milliamps. And then we're going to just move this up 5/100ths. And you can actually watch this, the feedback output change. So we've proven this valve will move in 5/100ths of a milliamp. Actually, this one will probably move in a little less than that. Your package may vary depending on how much friction it has in it. The ability to do this shows the customer the quality of the product. Okay, not just the positioner, but the actual assembly. So a quality positioner, in order to turn the valve, needs a quality actuator. And the valve needs to have low enough friction to be suitable for use as a control valve. In this case, we've got a valve with a V port. Being able to talk about all of this as an assembly is super important to your customer. So thank you, Carly, for showing that. So the ability to talk about this is extremely important for your customers, showing them the performance of your product, your brand. This is your brand as your assembly, okay? The positioner on your actuator with your valve. How do you tube it? Do you use poly tubing or stainless or whatever? The next thing we're going to show here is basic troubleshooting. So one of the great things about this particular positioner is it has 2 spare parts, a pilot valve and an I to P. And the easiest way to troubleshoot this is using this gauge right here. Again, there's a YouTube video showing this. But if I put 4 milliamps on my I to P, this gauge should read 3 PSI. At 20 milliamps, it should read 15 PSI. And this gauge should move smoothly between that 3 and 15 PSI when you make that signal change. If it does, then you know that the I to P is good. And the problem has to be in a pilot valve. Usually pilot valves can be cleaned rather than replaced. So with one gauge, again, these gauges help you with calibration. This gauge helps you with troubleshooting. You can actually demonstrate to your customer how easy it is to work on this position. Now, this is not ragingly difficult. So we're going to actually turn this off now and air this down. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to take the I to P and the pilot valve out. So again, I'm just using a simple screwdriver to take the I to P out. I'm going to unplug my potentiometer if I have feedback installed. And it's 2 screws. So there's my I to P. And if the pilot valve were the problem, I can reach in here, and even with all of the feedback items installed, I can still get at all these parts to work on them. Loosen that screw, and now I've taken the pilot valve out. So these 2 items are all the spare parts you need for a V200 positioner, typically to get it up and running again in a plant. You might potentially have a feedback or a switch failure, but usually that isn't going to shut anything down. The fact that you can replace these so quickly with simple tools really helps with plant productivity. So 2 spare parts, okay, and the ability to demonstrate how you take these out and replace them is imperative to be able to show how your whole package benefits your customer. So what does all of this add up to? Okay, Reduce downtime. If you can replace the parts in the positioner on the valve without having to take the whole positioner off, you don't have to break all your air connections. You don't have to break electrical conduit connections. You can keep the positioner on the valve, replace the damaged components internally, and return it to service very, very quickly. Typically, even in the field, you can repair one of these positioners in less than 15 minutes. Complete replacement of the positioner by the time you do all of the other things can typically take 90 minutes or more, especially if you're in a difficult location. When you do replace a pilot valve or an I2P, you don't have to completely recalibrate the positioner either. If you're installing one from scratch, you have to start calibration from scratch. But if you're just replacing those components, typically you can just double check your zero and be back up and running. So low cost of ownership. The V200 provides world-class accuracy. We've just demonstrated that. It's a repairable design. The repair cost on a V200 is typically 15 to 45% of the cost of a complete replacement positioner. And if the positioner can be repaired 4 times before replacement, the savings is thousands of dollars. Add to this the reduction in downtime, and the lifetime installed cost is much, much lower. Downtime costs far more than an actual failed part. So today we discussed the V200 positioner, okay, specifically that positioner, but our other positioner models have many of these features or other features that can easily be demonstrated. The advantages of demonstrations like this include the opportunity to discuss your actuators, your valves, your automation practices, and quality control. In a demo of a complete package, you're also selling something else. You're selling your brand, okay, your company, and all the practices that you put into assembling a package, your customer service. The fact that you can come and do something like this in front of your customer elevates you above your competition. Okay, the complete package includes you and all of your products. Learning how to integrate multiple products into a demonstration also shows a key feature of VAC positioners. Okay, our ability to mount on nearly any valve. If we move this out of the way here, behind us, behind Wayne and I, is a variety of valves, butterfly valves, rotary control valves, globe valves, knife gate valves, another globe valve. We have roughly 300 linkage kit applications on our list, and that equates to thousands of valves with the overlapping models. When you're selling a positioner on your package, that's a new assembly. When you're selling a positioner onto a pre-existing valve, we call that a retrofit. And a demo like I just did frequently will wind up with a question like, yeah, that's really cool, but can you help me with a positioner on this valve over here? If you're in a maintenance shop, they're going to have broken stuff all over the floor. You may wind up selling them a positioner to go on a valve that they've got right there. You've just elevated yourself above all your competitors. Our independence as a manufacturer of just positioners really helps our distributors leverage this capability to grow their sales and profits. Retrofit helps your customers standardize and improve reliability, and helps you increase sales at very nice profit margins. To be able to mount on something like a globe valve, typically we can do this at hundreds of dollars less than that valve manufacturer's own brand of positioner would cost. If you're doing a project, you can offer the same positioner on the ball valves used in butterfly valves used in kind of level control applications or low precision control applications, and also on globe valves for high precision applications. That helps your customer by minimizing their storeroom spares. The overall goal is to help you learn some new skills and increase your sales. We've got retrofit examples here. This is a Fisher E-body globe valve, okay? We offer this kit in stainless or carbon steel, very easy to install. It fits a wide variety of these valves, strokes from a 1/2 inch to 2 inches with one kit. We can do, the kit that's on that Samson valve will fit not only Samson, but many other small globe valves with short strokes, okay? Some specialty items like mace nail and Camflex doesn't actually turn 90 degrees, it turns about 70 degrees. So it takes a slightly different cam. We offer a variety of spindles and things like that to match other valve manufacturers' actuators. So those are all things that we do to help you with the selection of the correct mounting kit and that sort of thing. If you look at our list or talk to us and we don't have the correct mounting kit for you, that's not really a problem. We regularly bring in a valve into our shop, develop the kit, mount the first positioner for you, develop photo instructions on how to install it, okay, and then ship it back to you. That gives us the advantage of building the correct kit because we get the actual valve in our shop. Then it gets you the advantage of now you're offering a linkage kit and a positioner on a control valve that nobody knew could be done. We did this recently with a company that had butterfly valves and then they had cryogenic globe valves. We were able to put the same positioner in both products. So at this point, I'm going to hand this off to Randy, but I think now is the time when, if you've got questions or things like that, if we've got any questions in chat, we can answer some questions for some people.
I do have a question in the chat bar. The question was, can we do this while the valve is in the process?
So when you say do this, I'm assuming you mean install a positioner on an existing valve. Yes, you can. The only concern you really have about doing that is, there's some safety issues that you need to be aware of with the plant, and the plant is going to tell you about that sort of thing. And it is, a requirement in order to properly calibrate the positioner to be able to stroke the valve. So you need to be able to go from closed to open to closed again. The valve's going to be offline for a little bit, but if they're replacing an old positioner with, an obsolete unit with one of our products, they're going to be ready to do that. We regularly do this. About 2 weeks ago, I did this on some 12-inch 2500 class globe valves at a gas storage facility. And we did it in place, outdoors, and each one took about an hour and a half. And at least 50% of that time was removing the old products. Hopefully that answered your question for you.
Yeah, and I want to add something too, just in case too, it was not just talking about the positioner, but maybe the spare parts like a spool valve or an IDP. Absolutely, that's really important to do while the valve's in service. So.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the point, is that you don't have to take the positioner off. You don't have to take the valve out of line. You can do that. If it's already not working because they've had a failure, you can get it up and running without taking anything out, doing a line break and all of that sort of thing. Worst case, you've got a hot work permit for working with electrical wires. And you can do this in place in a very, very short period of time. We have plants with hundreds and thousands of positioners installed in them that do just that.
Carly, read that question again. What?
It says, can you do this while valve is in the process?
Well, the process has to be shut down.
Right. Typically, you're gonna have that control valve isolated by some.
Or there may be an isolation line to it. Yeah. When the process is live, you're not going to be messing with it.
And most plants won't let you mess with it when it's live.
And
It'll be locked out or something like that.
Address the specific question. So, anybody else?
That was the only question in the chat bar, but if anyone would like to unmute their mic and ask a question, feel free to do that at this time.
Normally, this is when everybody picks on me, so go right ahead.
Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
I can.
Thanks for the presentation. Always good to see you in action. My question was, we see, I guess, is it as easy to swap parts out and do a presentation kind of like you did today with the other models, or is this kind of the best model to show that aspect of the product?
So the V200 is without a doubt our most flexible product. So you can show it as in all kinds of configurations, explosion proof and and all of these different things very easily with a limited amount of demonstration equipment. But I do demonstrations like this all the time with digital positioners. You know, the modularity is a little different. The troubleshooting is a little different because it's a digital product versus an analog product. But yes, you can do a demonstration just like this. We do the same sensitivity demonstration with our digital products. It's just, you don't have an I2P like this to take out and replace. But you can add things like switches and feedback and all of that sort of thing in front of the customer and show them those things as well. Digital positioners add in the ability to show Field Information Manager, which is our free downloadable digital control software for troubleshooting and maintenance. If you've got a laptop, you can show a customer that, show them how to calibrate it through the laptop or do special tuning things, characteristic curves and all that crazy stuff. So, there's different things you would demonstrate with a digital or an analog, and we would talk to you about how can we help you learn to demonstrate whatever product you have the most interest in for a given customer. How can we help you learn to demonstrate that on your complete package that you're trying to sell that customer? So how can we help you integrate the positioner part with the actuator and the valve and all that?
And we still have V100 customers.
Yep.
And we're glad to have them. Thank you. But the V100 is modular as well. You can add and adapt different things to it. But the V200, which was designed by the same engineer as the 100, really took a clean slate of paper to design this product. And he has done a masterful job of not only building a good quality product that performs well, but also to make it very modular, flexible, easy to repair. So it's kind of the next generation, if you will, from the 100 up.
Yeah.
But we still want you to buy 100s if you like them.
Yeah, there are a lot of customers that still love the V100, but there were lessons we learned with the V100. Like, it doesn't flow quite as much air volume as the V200. So on really large actuators, it's a little slower. But we couldn't get that casting, that housing, to flow more air. So that was built into the V200. The feedback in one enclosure with the V200 was something customers were asking for, whereas in the V100, it's a two-piece separate enclosure for the feedback modules. They both have their place, and certain customers like one positioner over the other, and that's awesome. We want them to use the product they're most comfortable with and fits their needs the best. Just, we chose the V200 today because it's the most versatile product and the easiest to show all of these different features in a presentation like this. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I asked Randy, or I guess I asked the chat earlier, if you could do it with blindfolded, and he said you could do it blindfolded and behind your back. So next time we'll have to see the feedback card installation jazzed up a little bit.
I haven't tried it behind my back, but I could do it blindfolded.
You look like you could do it blindfolded, man. I appreciate you.
And I know I make this look easy because I cheat. All I sell is the position. Okay? I admit that. My goal here, okay, for all of us, that everybody at back, what we want to do is we want to help you be able to do the same sort of demonstration, but integrate all of your other parts into it. So
Absolutely.
how that, and that can bring you in front of your customer, that can bring your skill set up to a higher level that they see. And now you've elevated yourself above your competition. And that's the goal. This is, before I worked at VAC, I sold control valves. And everywhere I ever worked, I sold VAC from the day that VAC was started or pretty close. So this is partly how I wound up here, is by doing this. I was demonstrating complete packages, and guys will not want to carry this. But, and I'm not a little bitty guy, but this isn't that bad to carry. I mean, I carry this demo case over here and it weighs 65 pounds. So
Every bit of
the
it.
ability to carry a demo, I mean, here's a butterfly demo that belongs to a customer of ours. Maybe you wouldn't carry a 6-inch, maybe you carry a 4-inch valve. But the ability to show them live just is so huge. And if you say, hey, yeah, I'd love to do this in your maintenance shop where you've got air, and you can have the maintenance guys come and pick on me. We'll come and do this with you. Randy and I will both gladly come and do this with So, we want to help you bring things up to a new level, and we've all been sitting for so long, not making as many sales calls as we'd like. When the opportunity presents itself to get in front of customers, we want to make the biggest, best impression we can.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap things up. Thank you, Bob and Wayne, for putting this webinar together. Appreciate, Bob, all your hard work this week for this. But the point of today is to knock off the rust and get you thinking about selling again. We can help you with customized training, either online via Zoom, which we've already done for several companies, or in person if it's allowed. I know there's people on this web chat where you can't go outside without being accosted. Or even if there's an end user that you want to do some virtual training, we'll be glad to do that. The goal is to helping you integrate your demonstrations of your engineered product assemblies. Bob mentioned retrofit applications, but we have the mounting kit list, but if you run into an application that we do not have a kit for, please call us. We've had several distributors who sent valve packages to us and asked us to make kits. They've also sent pictures and stuff like that, and we've come up with solutions. We offer a couple of tools. Bob talked a lot about this guy right here. This is our Mr. Signal. It is, we joke around with it because it's from China, and it's inexpensive, but it works, and it's a great tool to be able to calibrate and also read the 4 to 20 feedback coming back from the positioner itself. There's also other things that we do, the old school literature that are hard copies that you can leave with customers. We make sure that these are always up to date. We have some printed out, so if you need more. I personally, when I'm in plants, I always make sure I have a copy of the mounting kit list. That way when someone says, there's no way you can mount to a Fisher, you don't have a kit, I can pull it out and I can show them how easy it is to specify the mounting kit that they might be looking for. We also offer these thumb drives that have all these hard copies on PDFs. So please let us know if you need some of these. The last tool, Bob mentioned this several times, and I talked about it this week with a customer who's having some calibration issues at startup, are the videos that we have on YouTube. There's several on the V200 setup and calibration. There's also one on how to mount to a Fisher 657, 667 actuator that we lovingly call the Green Weenie. In closing, I want to take a minute to thank you guys for attending. We sincerely hope that VAC is the easiest vendor you deal with. We strive to make decisions based on what is best for our customers. It's easy for us because we do not have an ivory tower full of CFOs and UFOs. We only report to you guys. And at the end of the day, you guys are what gains that sale for VAC products. So VAC having product on the shelf and a technical help a phone call away, you should have the confidence to promote VAC. I hope today has opened the door to a new way to sell our product or dusted off memories on how to sell again. Thank you guys for your time. And if you have any other questions, please let us know.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, Wayne, Bob, Randy. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.